So this is the new bike. This is the cursed bike that's already thrown me off 3 times. It's a 2018 Specialized Stumpjumper, my first full suspension, and well, as you've seen, it's left me in quite a bit of pain. But how did this come about? Let's just go through that to start with. So last year I bought my first upgrade for a mountain bike. I bought the 2017 Saracen Mantra Trail, the carbon fibre version, and that's hardtail, and that bike has been brilliant. And don't get me wrong, I've still got a lot to learn, and that bike has nowhere near reached its full potential that an even more experienced rider would be able to do with it. But I always wondered, like, what more could I do with a full suspension? How much more could I progress? How much quickly could I progress? So at the beginning of the year I set out to do a few demo days. The demo days were initially to make videos, to do some reviews of new bikes, but they turned out to be difficult, shall we say. Did 3 of them, one at Cannock Chase, brilliantly organised, lots of selection of bikes, loved some of the bikes there, but the course wasn't really that good to push the bikes. It was the last few sections of Follow the Zog, and a little bit off piste coming back up, which is all uphill, so it wasn't really that testing on the bikes, which is not really what you want if you want to find out how much you can push it. The second event was at One Planet Adventure, and well, we just gave up on that after the first go, so there's no footage of that. Yeah, that was a letdown. It was a tiny course. It was completely overbooked. Like, you'd literally just turned up on the day and bought a ticket on the day. But yeah, it was completely overbooked, so we just grabbed our own bikes and just rode around. And the last day was at Forest of Dean, which is probably the best one. It was pretty busy, but we were still able to get some bikes. Found we really liked the Marin bikes for the price point that they're at, and the course that they had there was brilliant. Yeah, I really enjoyed that day, and it left me wanting a full suspension bike. Now, I did each day with Sarah, and she actually went ahead and bought a Marin, and I wasn't going to go and buy a bike, but that kind of put me in a position where I wanted to buy one. So I was looking around, and I was going to build one. I found one on eBay, found a great little project on eBay, a little retro. I think it was labelled as a GT, but the guy turned around and said it might not have been a GT, it might have been something else, but it would have been a great project, and I won it for £50. When I messaged the guy asking if I could pick it up, he turned round to me and told me that despite the auction having bids throughout the whole week, because I was making sure people knew I was interested in it, he'd sold it to his neighbour the day before, apparently. So I kept on asking him if I could buy it, kept on asking if his neighbour would let me buy it, but he just turned around and cancelled the transaction. Just said, well, yeah, he said he didn't mean to look like a dick, but he was, because he went and sold the bike, which technically I owned. So yeah, I lost out on that. And then I just kept on looking, and then I saw this one day. I saw this. It was £600 off or whatever. I had a voucher for another 150, so I bought it, and yeah, rode it twice so far before it's injured me quite a bit. So up front we've got the RockShox Reba RL forks, 150mm travel, lockout, dampening, all that adjustment. The frame and the forks accommodate both 29. They're 29/6 fatty forks and frame, so I can put 2 different types of wheels on there if I want to. It's got 29s on there at the moment, and these have 30 more mil travelled than my RockShox Recons that are on the hardtail. So I thought that might come into my advantage if I wanted to do a bit more aggressive downhill, but they still need to be dialed in properly. The rear shock is a RockShox Monarch RT. It has like this auto sag function on it, which I'm not sure how well it works because it still feels quite soft. It has lockout as well, but it doesn't appear to be the lockout which completely locks out the frame. Instead, it just increases the stiffness, shall we say. So that's going to take some getting used to as well. That's got 135 mil travel. But I've got to have a real play around with the whole thing, see how I can set it up. Another first for me is a dropper post. This one's a command post, the IRCC version. It's a 100mm drop, and yeah, it doesn't actually work properly at the moment. So I bought the bike off Treads and it's not been set up properly. The tension on the cable which releases it is far too tight. So literally the first time I got on the bike, which was at Forest of Dean where the first run is going to be after this, I sat on it and it dropped straight to the floor, which is really annoying. So for that first weekend I could not use that post. I tried to wind as much tension out of the cable as possible. It didn't work. I've tried to wind even more out of it by using some mole grips on the adjuster, and it works sort of, but it still releases. So yeah, it still needs, it's still got a bit too much tension on that cable, which is really annoying. Treads have actually offered me a reimbursement, so I can get that fixed. They've said to just go to the local bike shop if you do need it done, but I'm going to have a play around with it a bit more and see if I can get it done. Now the drivetrain on the bike is SRAM. It's all SRAM. This came from doing the demos. I was testing out a few bikes and I realised I quite liked the SRAM style shifters. The GX Eagles on one of the bikes were brilliant, so I looked around and specifically I was looking at SRAM parts. So this has got the SRAM GX rear derailleur, shifter and cassette. It's not the Eagle. The Eagle is a 12 speed, this is a 11 speed, and up front we've got the race face crankset. It's the Effect one, the PF30. 28 teeth on the front. That's it, 28 teeth on the front. So got 28 on the front, single ring 1x11, and on the back we've got a 10-42 cassette. So there's a decent range in there. You can climb hills. It is a little bit more difficult than hardtail, obviously, but yeah, that is the group set that I was looking for, the GX. I think it's a nice group set. And then when it comes to the brakes as well, we've also got SRAM, which again is different from my hardtail because my hardtail is all Shimano. These are SRAM Guidar brakes, 4 piston calipers. On the front we've got a, is that a 200mm or 180? Basically I can have either 200 or 180 on the front, and on the rear I can have either 180 or 160. They feel nice, they're not like grabby or anything. So yeah, we'll see how they go once I've used them in more conditions. I mean, and that's just a quick look around the bike. I'm getting close to being healed up, still getting a bit of pain in my shoulder, so I'm not sure how much abuse that can take, and the hip as well. Hip's been giving me some grief as well. But I'll leave you with this video. I'll leave you with the 2 rounds that we did on the weekend of having this bike. The first weekend out, the first stop was at Forest of Dean, and we did both the blue and the red trail there. I think that's the Miners and the Verners. And the second day was literally the first run down at Bike Park Wales, which is where I had my injury. So I'll leave you with that now. I hope you just like this little intro into this bike. I know it's not vintage or retro or anything like that, but it will be a fun little ride once I've got fully healed up. So I've actually got another Specialized as well that is in the garage waiting to be shown, but I'll leave that to a later date. So keep an eye out for that. But for now, enjoy the rest of the video, enjoy the rest of the footage, and I'll leave you with the crashes. Can't see. I've got sunglasses on and I can't see a fucking thing. Oh, fuck. Ah. Ah. Got the short skirt. Oh, where am I going? Fuck, dickhead. Had a